before we get started on the gameplay review for Ancient One, we have to talk about the rotation, because Ancient One is somewhat proc friendly with this new seasonal uniform, but it's not quite as easy as it looks. So the base rotation that they want you to do is 5, 4, 3. Now that's obviously not proc friendly at all because there's so much delaying. So this rotation, unfortunately, we have to kind of throw in the bin, like a lot of things lately that Netmarble has been producing for the game. However, something they failed to realize is that 5 is instant cancelable and 2 is also instant cancelable. So what you want to do is you want to do the most consistent proc-friendly rotation for Ancient One is actually 5, 2, 4, 3. This way, you will still get the drops on the second skill, and you can still get 80 hits, and it's completely proc-friendly. This is 100% proc-friendly. You're not going to miss your procs. However, when you incorporate the 6th skill, you will. If you do this, you're going to find that it's not that many more hits, and you're going to have to cancel into 1, and then you can see the 6th skill is gone. I'm not sure. I haven't done the testing yet on whether it's better to cancel out of the 6 and then go into the next rotation, but it's certainly not better to let the 6 play out, because for sure, 100%, this will proc into your next proc. This will trigger your next proc and waste your next proc and completely kill your damage. You can see the 6th skill really has some terrible number of hits. So I would say it's almost better to just cancel out of it for the buffs and still go into 3. I'm not even joking. That's how sad it is. Now, there is one higher, better rotation. And if you delay 4 for when Ancient One slams the ground, boom, and then 5, 3, and 5, 2, 3, you get a lot more hits. You get 100, almost 110 hits. Boom. 4 delay, 5, 2, 3. This is the best rotation. And for sure, this is better than canceling into the 6. So when the 6 is ready, you do boom, 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 and just cancel out of the 6 just to get the buffs. But this rotation is not as proc friendly. It's just not. It's a little bit harder to do. It requires more timing, and it's just a bit harder to pull off. So because of that, I'm just pointing it out to, keep that in mind. To get the most damage out of Ancient One, that's the rotation you're going to want to do. But then I also think that makes Ancient One less than proc friendly. It drops from like a 10 out of 10 proc friendliness to like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 proc friendliness. But we're going to do a little bit of testing with a 200 proc, and then we're going to move on to other things. If you want to use the new Ancient One against Null, this is the best stage. This is the highest stage you can use the new male Ancient One uniform on. And this is also how the uniform is going to perform with a 200 proc obelisk. I got stunned there, unfortunately. So yeah, there we go. 20 second phase 1. We'll do a few more rotations. It's a very low stage. That's why I'm laughing. But I just wanted to try something new here to showcase not only, how proc friendly, hey, that was actually pretty good, but also different bosses so that people can get an idea of what's going on here. We are invisible, which looks cool. We're going to do like one more rotation here. Boom. Okay, I got guard broken. It's really cool. This is what it looks like if you proc on the tier 3 and the kind of damage that it does. It's nice in this case because it has iframe ignore. So that's pretty much the only reason why you would want to use the tier 3 and like stay in it is if the iframe ignore is really important to you. And so there you go. Sub 1 minute. If you want to use the new Ancient One against Ultron, this is what it looks like. And I believe we missed our proc. So this is another thing I wanted to show you guys. It's just that when you use the 4th skill this aggressively, you risk, missing your proc. But as you can see, when you hit the proc, although this is still a pretty low level, you do get a pretty nice amount of damage. And yeah, that was my failure to cancel out of the tier 3 into the rest of the rotation. If you want to use the new male Ancient One against Gore, this is what it looks like. And we hit our proc. So you know what? Upon further testing, maybe this uniform is a little bit more than a 6 out of 10 in terms of proc friendliness when you use the 4th skill. I don't know. Initially, I wanted to give it a pretty low rating when you have to delay cancel the 4, because delay canceling the 4 is pretty bad. But I've only missed 1 rotation out of like 10 or so. A little bit weak right now defensively, so we have to be a little careful. But it's good to see the survivability. And you can see the amount of damage. We actually didn't heal at all. Why didn't we heal? If you want to use the new Ancient One uniform in PvE against Jean Grey, you can't use them on this stage because they're male, not female. However, if you want to use Ancient One against Jean Grey, you can come to this stage 44, which I think is way too high, but it's just so that you guys are aware of the amount of damage that Ancient One can do at level 80 with the 200 proc, and also to address the issue of dying. So dying was pretty cringe, I'm not going to lie. But the issue is that the 5th skill heal doesn't apply at the beginning of the skill. It's very odd, but basically the bubble, the shield that he puts down doesn't heal until the sides or the walls of the shield go away. So basically the way that it works is you put up this wall with the, with the big shield, the tube thing, and when the tube disappears, that thing there, that little that little kind of clock insignia face, that will heal you. But the healing is massively delayed. So if you place the 5th skill down and you're waiting for it to heal you, it's not going to heal you right away, unfortunately. And that's basically just by design. It's just kind of dumb. So that was Ancient One's PvE performance. I would say that you can get probably a decent amount more effort out of him if you give them a CTP of energy. You could also go with something like a Mighty Destruction, because with the V-Pad and with the extra time in between rotations, you have time to run around and charge up the strike proc. You could also do something like a Rage if you really wanted to, for just kind of mindless gameplay, because you don't have to worry about procs. You can let the 6th skill play out, all that good stuff. But obviously, all of this is assuming that you really love Ancient One and you really want to, you bought the uniform and you're going to build them and all that stuff. Obviously, I'm not, these CTP recommendations are not an endorsement of the character as meta or as good. This is just purely the review from the point of view of someone who really wants Ancient One. If you want to know my opinion on whether you should get Ancient One at all, my opinion is no. Absolutely not. We'll do some PvP here in a second, but essentially this uniform, all it does, in my opinion, is it does improve Ancient One's support a little bit. 5% more elemental damage buff to allies, okay? And I think it's 5% more energy attack to blast allies. But that's it. That's it. And realistically, what this uniform does is, for players who are going to go all the way to tier 4 with Ancient One, it does provide the flexibility to buff elemental characters, to provide essentially a support as both a female blast hero human and a male blast hero human. But that's really only relevant for World Boss Legend Plus. So ask yourself if that is something that it matters to you, and then also you should probably ask yourself ahead of time, like, should I just tier 4 Mystique first? Should I tier 4 Nick Fury first? Should I tier 4? There are other better supports out there. Even Storm is comparable and does more damage as a standalone character, and is relevant for more niche stages where you need like mutants or mutant heroes and things like that. Because if you basically look at World Boss Legend Plus, there are very few stages, right, where you would want to, for example, here is one stage where you could use Ancient One male but not Ancient One female at tier 4. But you could also just take the uniform off, right? You could also just take the uniform off, and then at least you get the leadership. But there's very, very few stages where, you see, it's blast, so that is either one. So you're really buying a uniform for what is a 5% buff, essentially, right? And that also assumes that you're going to tier 4 them. Again, it's the same situation here where it's only those male stages where you're going to, for World Boss Legend Plus, where that's really going to matter. And even here, they actually want the female Ancient One. So it's actually even sort of negative value. So I really don't understand what the devs are doing here. The only other argument, again, is 25 to 29. But again, there are better supports like Nick Fury, Agent Venom for the symbiotes. Otherwise, it's really just, way too much overlap and not enough of a buff, frankly, from the old Ancient One uniform to the new one. So I would say, yeah, if you want to tier 4 Ancient One, like, that's a whole other story. You can tier 4 Ancient One. But buying this uniform gives you almost next to no extra value as a support for where you would use Ancient One tier 4 as a support anyways. We're not going to go crazy with the PvP testing, but I did want to test out a Mighty CTP of Authority with a 30% steel proc here to see if Ancient One has any value as like a reflect pylon. They don't have any damage reduction, I believe. And so because of that, I think damage reduction is going to help out. And we know that damage reduction and the steel proc and stuff like that is quite nice with reflect and that kind of thing. Again, I don't have very high hopes here for Ancient One, but we are going to jack up their attack to the highest possible level at 80 to see if we can get some cheeky, reflect kills off against the meta. As long as, by the way, you fish for a team that doesn't have null, because null deals physical damage, so you're not going to get any reflect whatsoever out of that. Now, it's not quite a team that doesn't feature null, but this team does feature Sentry and Silver Surfer, so I'm just curious to see how Ancient One performs here with Sentry. Gives us a chance to see what's going on. Okay, yeah, again, I had very low hopes for this, so this is not meant to be like, oh, it's trash Ancient One, ha 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 ha. But it's more like, with some of the tools available, with, reflect and stuff like that, invisibility, there's a chance, right? There is a small chance, and I just wanted to explore that small chance, especially, you can see there reflect on the wake up immediately. I think there is an opportunity now and then, but as you can see, like, Ancient One takes so much damage standing there that you would have to be very, very surgical and technical with your gameplay. You'd have to play manually, you'd have to switch back and forth, etc. In order to get to squeeze any value out of this lemon. Lastly, I do want to point out that Ancient One has not one, but 2 buffs for Otherworld Battle right now, increasing their damage by 500%. 250 for Blast and 250 for Human. And they have a tier 4. And yet, not a single team in the top 100 features Ancient One. Now, I haven't gone and checked that literally on every single team. I've probably checked about 30 or 40 teams by now. But you basically get the point. And, probably someone out there is going to go and get into the top 100 and then swap over to an Ancient One team to troll me. But you kind of get the point, that the chances of Ancient One having any impact in PvP, even with 2 out of 3 buffs, it can't really get much better than this for Ancient One. And it's basically a no-go. So, yeah, unfortunately, I think this is a perma... Not a perma, but this is like right now, best case scenario, this is a skip. Like, it's a skip. It's just a skip. And really, the only people who should be entertaining this at all are, completionists and diehard Ancient One fans. There is a rumor, there is a bit of speculation that Ancient One may have a bit of value as a striker for Zombie Strange in ABX because of the hit count. But this is, again, far and away an ultra niche thing that 99.99% of players would not think is worth 1,750 crystals. And that's really what this is about, right? This is not just about reviewing for the absolute outliers, but for the general public and for the general player base, and also just like what makes sense from a value perspective, right? Like an extra 100k points in ABX is worth 2k crystals. I don't think so, right? And it's not even proven. It's not even proven. It's kind of speculation at this point. And yeah, that's kind of like your mileage may vary, or your mileage will vary. I don't know how it goes. Type of situation. But I just wanted to bring you as much information as I had on the character so that you can make an informed decision. But yeah, I will not be personally tier 4ing Ancient One. I don't know. The completionist in me wants the uniform, but otherwise I'd probably refund it if I could. It's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty bad. Anyways, boys, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of Mystic Fan, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.